Have you ever stood in a store, holding a shiny new toy or gadget, and thought to yourself, will they even use this? Or will it just sit on a shelf, forgotten in a week? If you felt that, you're not alone. So many of us, especially as parents and grandparents, want to give something that truly matters. But sometimes it feels like the world is pushing us toward bigger, flashier, more expensive gifts. And yet, deep down, we know that the things our children and grandchildren will treasure most aren't always the ones with the highest price tag. At this stage of life, you may be realizing more than ever that less can really be more. That's where the idea of minimalist gifting comes in. Minimalism isn't about giving nothing or being stingy, it's about giving with purpose, with thought, and with love. It's about choosing presents that create memories, carry meaning, or add genuine value to someone's life. And honestly, isn't that the kind of legacy we want to leave behind? Not piles of clutter, but moments and lessons that stay in the heart. In this video, we'll explore how to embrace this philosophy of gifting. We'll talk about different ways to give that bring joy not just for the moment, but for years to come. I'll share practical ideas, personal reflections, and real-life examples that can help you find gifts that feel meaningful instead of material. And as we go, I encourage you to think of your own family, your children, your grandchildren, and even yourself, because minimalist gifting is as much about connection as it is about the gift itself. Now, let's start with something simple but powerful, the idea of giving experiences instead of things. Think about the gifts you've received over the years. Do you vividly remember the sweater you got 15 Christmases ago? Or the kitchen gadget someone handed you on your birthday? Probably not. But you might remember the time you went on a picnic with your family, or the trip where you laughed until your sides hurt, or even a quiet afternoon spent baking cookies with your grandchild. Experiences leave imprints that objects rarely can. Giving experiences can mean so many different things. For a young grandchild, it could be tickets to the zoo, where they get to see a giraffe up close for the first time, holding your hand in wide-eyed wonder. For a teenager, maybe it's a concert ticket to see their favorite band, an event they'll talk about with friends for months. And for an adult child, perhaps it's a day trip together, just you and them. No distractions. Maybe revisiting a place that holds family memories. These gifts don't collect dust. They create stories, and those stories become part of your family's shared history. But let's be honest, sometimes people worry that experiences don't feel like real gifts because you can't wrap them up in shiny paper. Here's where a little creativity helps. You can print out tickets and put them in a handmade envelope. You can write a letter describing what the day will be like, letting them feel the excitement before it even begins. Even for younger kids, you can add a small keepsake that ties into the experience, like a stuffed animal to go with a zoo trip. The presentation helps, but the true magic is in the memory you're giving. Moving on from experiences, another beautiful form of minimalist gifting is something deeply personal, passing down a story, a skill, or a piece of family history. Think about it, children and grandchildren crave a sense of where they come from. They may not say it out loud, but one day they'll treasure those stories of how you grew up, how their parents were when they were little, and the lessons you learned along the way. You could write a letter or record yourself sharing memories of a time in your life that taught you something important. Maybe it was how you persevered through hardship, or the funny story of how you met your lifelong partner. You could even turn it into a small project, like a scrapbook with photos and notes. These gifts don't cost much, but they carry immeasurable value. Long after toys have broken and gadgets have become outdated, your words and stories remain. And then there are skills. Have you ever thought about gifting your time by teaching your grandchild how to cook a family recipe, knit a scarf, or build a birdhouse? Imagine them years from now, making that same recipe or passing on that same craft, saying, "Grandma taught me this." That is a living gift, one that gets passed down through generations. Minimalism doesn't mean less love. It means your love becomes the very heart of the gift. Another meaningful, but often overlooked type of minimalist gift is something practical that makes life easier. Now, this might not sound exciting at first, but think about the times you received something truly useful and thought, "Wow, I'm glad I have this." For a young adult child, it could be a contribution toward their rent or helping with a grocery card during tough times. For a new parent, maybe it's babysitting, hours written into a little coupon book so they can take a much-needed break. For a teenager, perhaps it's a tool or instrument that supports a hobby they're passionate about. These gifts aren't flashy, but they show thoughtfulness. They show you care about their everyday happiness and well-being. The key here is intention. Instead of buying things for the sake of filling up space under the tree, ask yourself, will this bring joy beyond the moment of unwrapping? Will this help them, teach them, or remind them of love? If the answer is yes, then that gift, no matter how simple, carries more weight than any expensive gadget. So far, we've talked about giving experiences, passing down stories and skills, and choosing practical gifts that truly help. Each of these reflects the heart of minimalist gifting, choosing presents that add value, not clutter, and focusing on love, connection, and meaning. Now, while experiences, stories, and practical gifts already give us plenty to think about, there's another kind of giving that carries even deeper meaning, gifting something that grows over time. When we're younger, it's easy to get caught up in gifts that bring instant joy. But as we get older, we begin to understand the beauty of gifts that keep unfolding. These aren't just presents for the moment. They are seeds you plant today that continue to bear fruit tomorrow. Think about something as simple as a savings bond, a small contribution to a grandchild's education fund, or even a little investment that they won't fully appreciate until years later. At first, it might not bring the same squeals of excitement as a toy or gadget, but over time, that small seed can grow into something significant. And when they reach that stage in life where it matters most, they'll remember it was you who gave them that head start. In a way, you're giving them not just money but security, opportunity, and the message that you've been thinking of their future all along. And it doesn't always have to be financial. You could give them a plant to care for, maybe even one that started from your own garden. Imagine your grandchild watching that plant grow year after year, knowing it came from your hands. Every time they water it, they're reminded of you. Or maybe it's a tree planted in their honor, something that will stand tall long after both of you are gone. A living legacy rooted in love. These kinds of gifts connect them not only to you, but also to nature, to patience, and to the idea that life is about more than what we can hold right now. Another type of minimalist gift that often gets overlooked is time. In today's world, time feels rarer than diamonds. Your children and grandchildren may have busy lives filled with work, school, or raising families, and you may find that what they really want, more than any object, is simply more time with you. Imagine gifting a series of days together, a monthly lunch date, a morning walk, a regular phone call where you set aside distractions and focus just on them. These moments don't need wrapping paper. They don't need ribbons or bows, but to the person receiving them, they may feel more valuable than anything money could buy. And when you think about it, time is the one thing we can never replace. A child may outgrow a toy, but they will never outgrow the memory of a day you spent laughing, listening, and simply being present. The hours you share become stories they tell for the rest of their lives. That is a gift beyond measure. Speaking of presents, one of the most meaningful gifts you can give is the gift of listening. Sometimes, your child or grandchild doesn't want advice or money or even a big day out. They want to feel heard. They want to know that someone values their thoughts and feelings. You can give that gift by asking about their dreams, their worries, their joys, and really listening to the answers. Write those answers down if you like, so later you can remind them of what they once said. Think about how powerful it would be for a grandchild to hear, years later, "I remember when you told me you wanted to be a teacher. I never forgot how your eyes lit up when you said it." That is validation. That is love wrapped in the purest form. Of course, minimalist gifting doesn't mean you never give a physical object again. It just means that if you do, it's chosen with care. Some of the most meaningful physical gifts are ones that carry history or a personal touch. Passing down a piece of jewelry, a watch, or even something as humble as a handwritten recipe card can be deeply moving. The gift itself may not be perfect by store standards, but the story behind it is what makes it priceless. Imagine your granddaughter receiving your wedding ring one day. She doesn't just see a piece of metal. She sees decades of love and resilience. Or think of your grandson holding your old fishing rod, the one you used when you first taught him how to cast a line. These objects become heirlooms, not because of their monetary value, but because of the stories woven into them. They are reminders of where they came from and of the people who shaped their lives. And let's not underestimate the power of handmade gifts. Even something small, like a knitted scarf, a painted picture frame, or a handwritten poem, can carry more love than anything store-bought. Handmade gifts say, I spent my time, my effort, and my heart on this, just for you. And for many, children and grandchildren, that personal touch makes all the difference. There's also the idea of gifting opportunities. Instead of cluttering their shelves with things, you can open doors for them. Maybe you pay for a class they've always wanted to take: art lessons, music lessons, a cooking course. Or perhaps you support a passion project they've been hesitant to pursue. Opportunities like these help them grow as people. And in many cases, those experiences can shape the direction of their lives. Think of how meaningful it would be to know that you didn't just give them an object, but you gave them the chance to discover a new talent, or to follow a dream they otherwise might not have. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking: what if the people in your life don't fully appreciate these kinds of gifts? What if your grandchild still wants the flashy toy, or your adult child doesn't understand the thought behind your choice? That's okay. Part of minimalist gifting is letting go of the pressure to please everyone with material things. You can still give with love, and over time, the deeper meaning of your gifts will reveal itself. Maybe your grandchild doesn't realize the value of a journal you gave them until they're older and find it filled with their teenage thoughts. Maybe your adult child won't see the power of a memory you shared until they themselves are reflecting on life. Gifts can unfold slowly, and that's part of their beauty. When you step back and think about it, minimalist gifting is really about shifting focus from objects that fade to connections that last. It's not about deprivation, but about abundance in a different form. Abundance of love, time, and thoughtfulness. And when we choose to give in this way, we not only bless our children and grandchildren, but we also free ourselves from the pressure of consumer culture, allowing us to enjoy the season or occasion with less stress and more meaning. By now, you can probably feel the difference between giving for the sake of appearances and giving with heart. When we step back from the pressure of finding the perfect, shiny box at the store, we realize that the real gifts, the ones remembered, cherished, and retold, are the ones that carried love and meaning. One of the most beautiful ways to embody minimalist gifting is through shared traditions. Think about the rituals you can create around gift giving that become just as precious, if not more, than the gifts themselves. Maybe it's baking cookies together every holiday season and packaging them as little gifts of love. Perhaps it's writing a family letter each year where everyone contributes a paragraph about what they're grateful for, then binding those letters into a keepsake book over time. These traditions don't cost much, but they create threads of connection that tie your family closer together year after year. Another form of gift that often gets overlooked is service. Have you ever considered giving the gift of doing something for your loved ones? It could be offering to help your adult child tackle a project around the house they've been putting off, like organizing the garage or tending to the garden. It could be cooking a favorite meal for them, one they loved growing up. For grandchildren, it could be something as simple as sitting down to help them with homework, teaching them how to drive, or cheering them on at their sports game. These gifts aren't flashy, but they're powerful because they say, I'm here for you. I've got your back. And that feeling is something no store-bought item can ever replace. And then there are gifts that extend beyond our own family, gifts that teach children and grandchildren about generosity and compassion. Imagine making a donation in their name to a cause they care about, or volunteering together at a local shelter. You're not just giving in that moment. You're planting the seeds of kindness, showing them that love isn't just about what we keep, but also about what we give away. For many families, these shared acts of giving become cherished memories, lessons that ripple outward, and shape how the next generation views the world. Sometimes the most minimalist gift of all is simply your blessing. A letter that says, "I believe in you. I am proud of you. I see who you are becoming." Can you imagine how powerful those words are, especially in a world that often makes young people feel unseen or not good enough? That letter can be read again and again, becoming a touchstone in difficult times. Your words can remind them that they come from love, that someone believes in their potential, and that they carry a piece of your heart wherever they go. Minimalist gifting isn't about denying your loved one's joy. It's about giving joy in a way that lasts, in a way that doesn't get lost in the shuffle of material things. It's about looking at each person you love and asking yourself, what will make their heart feel seen? What will remind them of our bond long after the wrapping paper is gone? When you start from that place, the gift almost chooses itself. And here's something else to remember. Minimalist gifting is not only for them, it's for you, too. When you choose gifts with intention, you release yourself from the stress of endless shopping, the worry of overspending, and the burden of filling your home or theirs with things that don't matter. Instead, you get to focus on what does matter: connection, presence, and love. And isn't that the true spirit of giving at any age, especially now? So, the next time a birthday or holiday comes around, try asking yourself, will this gift bring joy that lingers? Will it tell them something about who they are and how much they mean to me? Will it create a memory they'll carry in their heart? If the answer is yes, then you found a gift that truly matters. And remember, you don't have to give big or expensive to give well. A small, thoughtful gesture, a story, an experience, or even just a few hours of your time can be more powerful than the biggest box under the tree. What matters most is the intention behind it. At the end of the day, what your children and grandchildren will treasure won't be the toys, gadgets, or clothes they'll treasure the moments they spent with you, the lessons you taught, the love you showed. That's the kind of gift that lives on, not just for a season, but for a lifetime. So as you think about the next gift you give, I encourage you to keep it simple, keep it thoughtful, and most importantly, keep it filled with love. Because at the heart of minimalist gifting is not the question of what can I buy, but how can I show I care? And when that's your focus, you'll never go wrong. Thank you for spending this time with me today. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What meaningful gifts have you given or received that made an impact? Share your stories in the comments below, because your ideas might inspire someone else. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a like. And if you'd like more conversations like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Together, we can keep building lives filled with connection, love, and meaning. Here's to giving with intention, to creating memories that last, and to living your best life at any age. You know, as we talk about all these ways of giving, I can't help but think about how much our relationship with gifts changes over the years. When we were younger, gifts often meant excitement, surprise, maybe even a little bit of competition who got the best, the biggest, the most impressive thing. But as we grow older, that perspective shifts. We begin to see that the best gifts aren't the ones we can measure in size or price, but the ones that leave an imprint on the heart. And that's the beauty of reaching this stage of life. We have the wisdom to see through the noise. We've lived long enough to know that stuff fades, but love doesn't. Experiences don't break. Memories don't collect dust. A story passed down doesn't go out of style. And a few heartfelt words can be read and reread long after we're gone, reminding our loved ones of who we were and how much we cared. Minimalist gifting is really just another way of saying, I want to give you something that matters, not just something that fills space. And that philosophy can stretch far beyond birthdays and holidays. It can become part of how we live every day. Imagine treating each interaction as a gift: your smile, your encouragement, your willingness to listen, your ability to show up for someone. These are gifts too, and often they are the ones that heal and sustain us more than any wrapped package ever could. When you think of your children and grandchildren, try picturing not just the gifts you want to give them now, but the ones that will ripple through their lives. Will they remember the gadget that broke after a year? Or will they remember that you taught them how to ride a bike, told them stories about your first job, or held their hand when they needed comfort? Those are the treasures. Those are the gifts that can't be bought. And the best part? It's never too late to start. Giving in this way, whether you're 60, 70, 80, or beyond, you still have the power to shape how your family remembers you. You still have the ability to pour meaning into the gifts you choose, to create moments they'll carry forever. Every birthday, every holiday, every small celebration is another chance to say, I see you, I love you, and I want to give you something that lasts. So maybe this year, instead of feeling pressured to find the perfect toy, the fanciest gadget, or the trendiest fashion, you give something simpler but deeper. Maybe it's a letter. Maybe it's a day together. Maybe it's the story behind a ring or a recipe. Maybe it's just your time, your undivided attention, your laughter. Those are the kinds of gifts that outlive us. And when we choose to give this way, we not only enrich their lives, we enrich our own. Because minimalist gifting lifts the weight of expectation, of consumerism, of comparison. It lets us breathe, enjoy the season, and remember that giving should feel good, not stressful. It allows us to focus on connection, which is really what we're all longing for anyway. If there's one message I'd love for you to take away, it's this. The most meaningful gifts don't come from a store. They come from your heart, your hands, your time, and your stories. They come from your willingness to be present and to give in ways that remind your children and grandchildren that they are loved, seen, and valued. So the next time you're wondering what to give, stop and think. What will they remember? What will stay with them long after the day is over? That answer will guide you toward a gift that truly matters. And as always, I want to encourage you, don't just watch this and nod along. Try it. Choose one upcoming occasion and commit to giving in a minimalist, meaningful way. See how it feels, see how they respond, and notice the difference it makes in your own heart. If this video resonated with you, I'd love for you to share your own stories in the comments. Tell us about a gift you gave or received that left a lasting impression. Your stories might be the spark that inspires someone else. And if you haven't already, be sure to like this video and subscribe, because together we're building a community that values living with intention, love, and joy at every age. So here's my wish for you. May your gifts always be filled with love. May your presence be the greatest present, and may your life continue to shine as a beautiful example for those who come after you. Because in the end, the best legacy we can leave isn't a box full of things, it's a heart full of memories.